Hello guys. So today we are going to discuss a very important topic, that is salts, classification, effects and phenomena. Okay. So first of all, we have already completed the acids, right? So we also have completed the base, and definitely after those two parts are completed, we are left out with salts, which is a very important part of ICC syllabus. The CBSE part of salts I have already completed. The ICC part of salt is very important because in this case, many more questions can come. The syllabus is oriented in a such a way, more application oriented question can come from salts, whether it is about from classification, effects, phenomenon, and also preparation of salts. That is also a very critical topic which will be dealt in a separate video. So first of all, let us go through salts classification one by one. So what is salt? As you can see on your screen at this moment, either in your mobile or in your laptop or computer, salts are basically those compounds which is formed by neutralization of an acid by a base or vice versa. Okay? So salts are those compounds which is formed by neutralization of acid by an base. So an example is here HCl plus NaOH gives NaCl plus water. So that is a simple example. So this NaCl is basically the salt. Okay. But there is another definition, that is salt is a compound formed by partial or complete replacement of ionizable hydrogen atoms of an acid by a metallic ion or an ammonium ion. What does this really mean? This means that, see, if this is the base and this is going to neutralize this H2SO4. Now this H2SO4 is a dibasic acid and it has two ionizable hydrogen. Now either this this is sodium, can displace one of the ionizable hydrogen and form NaHSO4, or it can displace both of them and form Na2SO4. So there are two possibilities. In both the cases, salt will be produced. Now this salt that you can see as Na2SO4, this one, this is normal salt. We are going to study this in detail, but this salt which still has an H plus ion inside it, if you dissolve it in water, you will get H plus, Na plus and SO4 2 minus. This is called acid salt. This is called acid salt. Clear? So that is what is said. In this case, partial ionization has happened or partial neutralization has happened. The base has partially displaced hydrogen of H2SO4. In this case, complete neutralization has happened. This is complete neutralization. Okay, so this can be either done by a metallic ion, or it is also possible by an ammonium ion. Ammonium sulfate is also a salt. Okay. And there can be another definition written over here. Salt is an ionic compound which dissociates in water to give positive ion other than H plus or H3O plus and a negative ion other than OH minus. Like if you take NaCl, which is a salt very well known, the table salt that you eat. So this gives Na plus Cl minus. Even if you give it in aqueous solution where it forms these ions, it will give H plus and OH minus. So that is why it is said that it will give a positive ion other than H plus. Other than H plus, it has given a positive ion. Other than OH minus, it has given a negative ion. So both the cases is covered well within this definition. All these definitions are very important in case of salt to understand the salt part. Now, people can ask me that, sir, what will I write if there is no there is a question called what is salt, like that. See, questions will not be asked like what is salt. Now if you ask me what is salt, exactly what is salt, I will prefer this definition which covers everything. Okay, this definition has no flaws in it, because I will show you there will be some salt which is not going to dissociate in water. There will be some salt which is not going to dissociate in water and which are not ionic compounds. So I am going to study on that also, which is not a part of ICSE or CBSE syllabus, but definitely we are going to study on those. Okay, so let's go directly to salt classification. Salt classification means there are six kind of basic types of salt that we are going to discuss. Number one is normal salt. As you can see, normal salt means simple salts, NaCl, Na2SO4, etc. Number two is acid salt. Acid salt means it has one replaceable hydrogen ion in it. So if you want to replace this, you can. It will act as an acid. We'll study it in detail. Basic salt is just the opposite of acid salt. It will have replaceable hydroxyl ion or group in its molecular formula. Next will come double salt. Double salt is basically two salts, two normal salt together forming addition compound. Okay, those crystals, these are generally crystals, and these crystals are called double salts because these will have properties of both the kinds of salt, also K2SO4 and also L2SO4 whole thrice. Both the salt properties will be present in the double salt. This thing, my dear friend, is called potash alum. In barber shop you may see this as your fitkiri, they call it fitkiri. Okay, next is mixed salts. What is mixed salts? Mixed salt is basically those salt which has more than one anion or more than one cation. So here you can see there are two anion. One is OCl minus, another is Cl minus. Here there are two cations, Na plus and K plus. So if you put this in water, it will give two cations. Okay. So these are mixed salts. What about complex salts? Complex salts means when you put this kind of salts in water, it is not going to give you K plus, Fe2 plus, Cn minus, not like that. It is going to give you K plus plus Fe Cn6 4 minus. So it is going to give one complex anion. Similarly, if you dissociate this in water, it is going to give you one complex cation. We are going to discuss it. Here also complex anion will be given. So in case of complex salts, while you dissolve this in water, it will give either complex anion or complex cation, and who knows, it may give both also. That is also we are going to discuss. And in some cases, we will show you some complex salts where it is not going to give any ions in the solution. Okay, next, normal salts. What are normal salts? So we are going to discuss whatever we have discussed in short brief over here. We are going to discuss that in detail over here. So if you see, these are normal salts. I've written everything, so I will just need the laser pointer. So as you can see, in case of normal salt, it is basically formed by complete replacement. Okay, complete replacement of ionizable hydrogen atoms of an acid by a metallic or ammonium ion. So it is formed by complete replacement like this. 2NaOH plus H2SO4, it has formed Na2SO4. So H2SO4 had two replaceable hydrogen atoms. Both are replaced by your sodium, that is a metallic ion, and it does not contain any ionizable H plus or OH minus in its molecule. In normal salt, there is no ionizable H plus or OH minus in its molecule present. Whereas in acid salt, this is formed by partial replacement of the ionizable hydrogen atoms of an acid by a metallic ion or an ammonium ion. So in this case, I have taken the same reaction. If instead of both the hydrogen atoms, only one hydrogen atom is replaced and another hydrogen atom is still there as an ionizable hydrogen atom. So definitely in that case, the salt formed is acid salt. Okay, definitely in that case, the salt formed is acid salt. This salt give H3O plus ions in water. Okay, this salt will give you H3O plus ions in water because they will behave as an acid. Still, it still has that hydrogen atom, that replaceable hydrogen atom, which will this total salt is going to dissociate. Okay, in your water. So we are discussing about the acid salt. So acid salts will behave as an acid because while you give it in water, it will still give you H plus ions, so it will act as an acid. There are other example of acid salts like NaHSO3, NaH2PO4, NaHCO3. So this is sodium bicarbonate, very common. You have seen this many a times, right? So this kind of salts are acid salts. What will be the basic salts? They are formed by partial partial replacement of hydroxyl group of an base, okay, by an acid radical. So we'll show this. PbOH whole twice, if you react it with HCl, at first it is this Cl. Okay, this Cl is the acid radical. This Cl is going to replace one of the OH and it is going to form PbOHCl, and after that it may form PbCl2. But first of all, this compound get formed, and this is called basic lead chloride. This is called basic lead chloride, and this is definitely a basic salt. Okay, and there can be other basic salt like copper, OHCl also. If you put this in water, definitely it is going to give you OH minus ions. So basic salt in aqueous solution will give you OH minus ion, and it will act as an base. Clear? So now we have completed normal salt, acid salts and basic salts in very short amount of time, and I hope you can understand this. There is no problems. Please note down everything. Pen and paper is very important. Coming to double salts. Double salts are formed by combination of two or more salts when they are crystallized out from a mixture of their saturated solutions. Okay, when they are crystallized out from a mixture of their saturated solution. What does this mean? This means when you put this K2SO4 and Al2SO4 in water, and after that you just perform crystallization by evaporation. Okay, and at the end of the day, a separate salt is going to crystallize out of the system, which will consist of both K2SO4 and Al2SO4, and the total crystal will also be associated with 24 molecules of water. So here it is called potash alum, and another such example is Mohor salt. Okay? Mohor salt, please remember for the sake of common names. These salts, when you put them in aqueous solution, give reactions of all the ions. Okay, give reactions of all the ions of simple salt. That means if you put this salt in aqueous solution, it will give you K plus, it will give you SO4 2 minus, it will give you Al3 plus, it will give you here from, it will give you SO4 2 minus again. So you will get the properties of all the ions. Okay, you will get the properties of all the ions. So which means it gives away all the individual ions in aqueous solution. Clear? So these are double salts. Next we are going to study mixed salts. Mixed salts are nothing but which contains more than one basic or acidic radical. We have already discussed this in our brief introduction about salt, so I think there is no problems in this one. You can easily understand. For a definition, you can also use this. This kind of salts contains two or more cations or anions other than hydrogen or hydroxyl ions. Okay? So here you can see it contains two cations other than H plus when you put it in water, and here OCl minus and Cl minus, two acidic radicals when you put it in water other than OH minus. Okay guys, the most important part of salts, which will not be much important in case of class 10th, but it is going to form a huge part of your chemistry in class 12, is complex salt. A really interesting topic when I go through it. Well, we have kept it very simple for you for class 10th purpose, giving you a little here and there tips and tricks so that you understand what is it. So these salts are formed by mixing saturated solutions of simple salts followed by crystallization of mixture. Okay, the simple salt you put into a solution, sometimes it is going to form salts as complex salts. Now you may ask me, sir, it can also form double salts. Yes, it can also form double salts. But what is going to happen over here is it is going to form a salt which will contain either a complex cation or a complex anion. So this part you can find in your book, but they can also contain both complex cation and complex anion. This is also possible. Okay, and in aqueous solution they dissociate to give either complex cation or complex anion. So what does this mean? See, if you see this one, potassium ferrocyanide, so K4FeCN6, if you put this in water, one of the anion is going to be complex. So this is not going to give you separately Fe2 plus or Fe3 plus Cn minus and all those things. One part of it, that is the anionic part over here, shall be complex. Here on the other hand, if you see, here the cationic part will be complex. Okay, the cationic part is going to be complex. Next is this one. Here, if you see the salt over here, then this part is basically the cationic part and this part is the anionic part. So here both the cationic part and the anionic part is going to be complex, which is basically the example of this statement. Now I have said while studying the salts that there will be certain salts which are not going to give ions in the aqueous solution. This type of salts are called neutral complexes. Okay, neutral complexes. An example is given as nickel carbonyl, completely covalently bonded, and it has no tendency to give any excuse me, positive or negatively charged ions in aqueous solution. So that is it, guys, about salts classification, effects and phenomena. After this, we are going to have another discussion on various phenomena associated with salts, like hydrolysis of salts, like your certain phenomena like efflorescence, deliquescence, then hygroscopy, dehydration property of certain salts. Those things also we are going to discuss after this in our next class. But beforehand, there will be also preparation of salts and all those things you need to complete. Okay, guys, thank you very much.